Hey guys, I don't know what the freak just happened. I'm getting requests. I apologize. Come back, come back, come back. I'll wait. I'll wait. I lost all of my feed. Ah, man, oh man, oh man. I'll wait for you to come back in. I'll wait for you to come back in. Shoot. God dang it. Yep, come on back. Come on back. Come on back. Hey Ronnie, how you doing? Come on in, guys. I do apologize. I apologize. I will wait. I will wait. I will wait. This topic is popping, and I hope I didn't lose that video because that was a great feed. Jesus God, that was a great feed, and I think I lost it. I think I lost it. That conversation was something that we could really. I'm doing great. Thank you. Happy Friday and welcome back to the lounge. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I hate that we lost that feed. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming back. I hate that we lost that feed. This topic is popping because I'm getting friend requests and people want to join the lounge and the conversation. And I hit a button and then it took me completely out of us from where we were. But we're back. And so we will let people come back in and we can keep this popping because, man, that conversation was going well and we will revisit it. We totally will attempt to recreate. So I hope people come back in. Hey, Q, how you doing? Hey, Kev, welcome back, big bro. Glad you're back. Glad you're back. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. That's on me. Like I said, this topic is popping and people are wanting to be a part of it. So that's good news. So please come back in. Exactly. Look at you, Gwen. Look at you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I like that. And we probably will because this is good. This is good. I haven't even touched on many of the notes before the content of the article. I'm doing great, Q. Doing great. Thank you. I am. And I'm so glad you are as well. So yeah, we'll wait for people to come back in. I hope they recognize what happened and they'll come back and we can continue. I know Sharice had comments. Gwen, you had some cool comments. Deani she had a lot to say. So I'm hoping that folks figure out that we can definitely, that we had to go away and we came back. So as they're coming back, for those, so everyone who's here now was here before. And so, we were talking about situationships and, Tracy was chiming in, which I totally appreciated because I definitely want men to feel a part of what we're doing because I think it's special and it's a really good space to do this. Come back in. There are people texting me now. It's like, hey, what happened? That was on me. I was trying to just slide something to the side and then it actually took me to a different screen is how we lost video. So definitely believe this is one. You know what? You know what I'm thinking? Hey, Gwen, I like your idea. I do. You know why? Because I think, in fact, I totally believe that this topic, situationships, is going to be great for VIP. Yeah, this is one of those things. Because, again, we're talking about perspective. We're talking about experiences. We're talking about how people feel. And we're not assigning value of right or wrong, but to say that this is how I feel and this is why. And also to not just share the perspective, but hear others for consideration. Because it might be something that you say, man, you know what? I hadn't thought of it that way. Or whatever it may be. But situationships, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely worth a live discussion. Right. So yeah, Gwen, thank you for that. I think we're definitely going to do this again live. So again, we know that situationships are romantic relationships. They are undefined, uncommitted. They're a bit nebulous, right? Depending on where people are, because they can be fun. Like Tanya had mentioned, situationships can be fun. And quite frankly, they can be. And as I added to it, until they're not. And when they typically become not fun is when feelings develop, right? We'll say catch feelings. And if we're honest, we all catch feelings or have caught feelings at some point. And whether we acted on those or could act on those or those feelings were reciprocated, that's the variable, right? But then we have to be honest, or at least should make the effort to be honest with ourselves about how we feel. And if somebody wants to change the rules of engagement, that's perfectly okay and begins with a conversation, or at least it can be, or can. At least I hope that it would begin with a conversation around that. So yeah. So what I'm going to do, and just again, as people continue to come on, what I'll do is kind of get into what a situationship looks like. For those of you who are just joining, I do apologize, or coming back, I should say, and just joining. I do apologize. I've been getting friend requests and requests to join Sip and Chill during the broadcast. And in my effort to kind of swipe away from it, it actually took me out of our live into another screen. And as consequently, I lost you. So I sincerely apologize for that. Lesson learned, because next time this happens, there won't be any acknowledgement. They'll just have to wait. And that's because I don't want to lose you, because I just don't want to lose you. Right. So I definitely appreciate the engagement. Man, this is awesome. It really, really is. And people, this is something real for folks, right? Situationships, they can happen. And sometimes they're subtle, sometimes not so much. Sometimes, because, and the reason not so much is because how do situationships begin, right? You can, like, for example, Tanya, she recently moved to a new city. Moving to a new city can be a reason. It can be you're out of a long-term relationship. Or you just like, I'm not really trying to do anything too serious. You just start kicking it with somebody, and next thing you know, boom, you end something. They can develop however they develop, right? So I asked the question on the first instantiation of Sip and Chill tonight. I asked, if you've been in situationships, and if so, what are your thoughts on them? Good, bad, or indifferent. It's okay, regardless. I also thank you all for participating in the engagement this week, because I posted questions. So thank you for that. But also with situationships, how do you feel about them? I mean, have you been in them? Did they work for you? These are the kinds of things we were talking about at the time. And so people are still popping back on, which is awesome. So thank you guys for coming back. So yeah, let's talk about what a situationship looks like. Now again, I need to say this also. I found this article, and I wanted to, and I realized it had some really good information, and that kind of fits the topic of situationships. And so it was written by, I found it on healthline.com, and it's written by Carly Vandergrant. So it's not my information, but it is definitely worthy of sharing. And I wanted to do that with you all. Okay, Tammy, not a good experience. Yeah. The outcomes are the outcomes, right? And it's to a person how those can happen. I posed the question about, if you've had those, could they turn into a regular relationship, a regular healthy relationship? And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't, right? So what does a situationship look like? How do you know if you're in one? Well, kind of touched on this one already, that you haven't defined the relationship. You're just kind of kicking it. You're just doing what you do. It's not really, it's very vague. It doesn't have a lot of commitment. You haven't put a title or a label or signed. And it could be that you're just taking things slow. Like, I just want to get to know you. And you don't really talk about the direction of the getting to know, right? It could be, and so should that happen, maybe you want to ask a question. Because if someone says, I just want to get to know you, okay, and the goal would be what of getting to know? Now, typically in a situationship, this doesn't happen. Because ain't nobody trying to have those, excuse my good English, but I'm going to be 100% real with you. Some people aren't really trying to have that conversation off the break. Because they're like, hey, can't we just have fun? This doesn't have to be serious. And that works sometimes, especially if you're in a real breezy spot, say you on a getaway, if you were in Vegas or Miami or whatever your cool city is that you like to go and hang out and do whatever you do or do what you do. It's that whole breezy. That's how situationships can start, right? And when they start, you're like, man, this is kind of cool because it's easy. It's not stressful. It doesn't feel like I have the responsibility of a relationship. And some people say they want a relationship but don't know if they want a relationship, it's easier to just be in kind of a hold pattern, right? When you are in a situationship, because you don't have the responsibility. Happy Friday, Bernice. Welcome back to the lounge. Welcome back. So, another way that you may know. You make a last minute or short-term plans. Hey, what you doing right now? Meet me here, right? There's no real effort to make long-term plans. Hey, in a couple of weeks, I'm going here. And sometimes that can happen, right? Say you got tickets to a show and it's a month away and you want to go with this person. You'd be like, man, that'd be cool to go with them. And so you throw it out there. So that's not the kind of thing we're talking about, because that's still in the moment. It's something I want to do, and I think you'd be kind of cool to do it with, right? There's a lack of consistency, right? When it's a situationship. You really don't get into the when am I going to see you again? Or when are we going to do this? Or where are we going? Or where's this going? You don't really do all that because you don't want it to be heavy. Because you're just hanging out, right? So I may see you, or we may see each other, or in this example, not my example, but in, say two people are hanging out, and, they see each other, and let's do it this way. Say it's a Friday, right? And you have Friday. Friday was cool. And then you're like, man, we had a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do it again Saturday, whatever that was. Whatever you did Friday, you're like, hey, I just want to keep hanging out with you. And so you make a couple days of it, right? And so then you part ways on Saturday or whatever. And you may not see him the next weekend. Or you may want to, right? Because again, when it's new and it's novel and it's fun, you're like, man, hey, let's keep this popping. Let's get together again. Let's do this, right? So that can happen. But then what you may run into is once that kind of settles into what you do, maybe someone starts to, man, I got plans this weekend. I can't. I've already committed to this. There was no communication with you. Nobody asked you what you had going on. It was you making the effort to reach to them to only learn that they ain't had a cycles this weekend. They wanted to go do something else. Or maybe do someone else. Just saying. We're going to talk about that too. We talked about emotional connections earlier in the first feed. God, I hate that we lost that. I'll tell you what. Listen, let me just say this. If I didn't lose that first feed, I'm posting both of these. Because this was really good. That first one was awesome. And I want to get both of these out. You don't feel emotionally connected. And you may want to feel emotionally connected. I know some of the ladies in the first were talking about how men had become emotionally connected with them or to them, but the feeling of the emotion wasn't reciprocated. And as a result, they had to move on. And it was likely and quite possibly very difficult for those men who would develop feelings for those women to move on from them. And they may still struggle. Listen to me. When an emotional connection occurs, even if you're not with the person, there's an affinity that you have that doesn't just go away because I'm not seeing you anymore. It's because I'm not talking to you anymore. See, because understand, I think Gwen talked about this earlier. Physical is easy. Emotional connections are not. And that's why when they occur, they're cherished. And you want them. You want more of it. And I mentioned also about, as men, we do have feelings. We do care. And although sometimes it seems like it doesn't because of our actions, or we want to front, or not front, but we act like we're hard and I don't care. No, we do. We absolutely care, especially when there's an emotional connection. And then when that is not returned in kind, oh man, that is not easy. Yeah, we may, I'm good. But then we leave and we licking our wounds because it hurts. Because what we understand is that doesn't happen every day. They're called rare, not common. Another sign that you might be in one. The person that you're just having fun with may be seeing other people, which is what I kind of alluded to a bit ago. They got other things to do and maybe some other folks to do too. Yeah. And I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on that. We'll just leave it at they haven't mentioned to you about any exclusivity, and you may have thought about it, but they're like, yeah, nah, they ain't about that life. You haven't met their friends or family. They haven't said, oh man, I really want you to meet somebody. They may talk about people, right? They may tell you about people that are important in their lives, but they have not suggested, nor have you. Hey, I want you to meet someone. Again, no right or wrong. Let me be very clear. We're not assigning values of right or wrong. What we're saying is that these are the kinds of things that can happen. And as long as the two people in that situationship are cool with the agreement of whatever that agreement is, and it can last into perpetuity as long as those two people agree. And when there's no longer agreement, then, got to pivot. You feel confused. For some, the early stages of dating are exciting. We kind of touched on that. Others associate situationships with confusion and anxiety, a lack of clear direction, especially when you develop feelings. This only matters when you care about somebody. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear. It only matters when I'm digging you a little bit. If you're not, then you're not confused because you're just having fun, right? Oh, you've heard me say this before, but I think it fits right now. In any situationship, right? Or relationship for that matter. And it doesn't matter the type of relationship. I want you to hear me. The person who cares the least has the power. Yeah, they do. And the reason that's true is because when you care, you try, you put forth effort, and you want that effort to be matched, met, or exceeded. And when it isn't, you can't move forward. Excuse me one second. What we have to remember that, right? We really need to remember that when you're talking about I'm confused, I don't understand. It's because you probably digging the person more than they digging you, and that's okay. It's just about you being honest with yourself, and like Deani talked about earlier, it's just you have to be honest with yourself about what it is that you're a part of or choosing to participate. The last indicator that you could be in a situationship, you don't think you have a future. You feel lukewarm about the person. You're not really sure if you even want to be in a committed relationship with them. And quite frankly, like we talked about earlier, they're a placeholder, right? This is someone who you don't see yourself being in a long-term relationship with or having a long-term relationship. It's just not going to happen. So what can you do if you realize that you are in a situationship? Well, it starts with knowing what you want, right? If you're currently in a situationship and you desire more, i.e. a full-on relationship where we're sharing and I'm meeting your folks, you're meeting my folks, you're learning more than just who's important to me and what matters to me or my favorite food or where I like to go. You actually get to they want to share. They want to open up, and you can tell. Not only can you tell, you can feel it. It feels different, right? It's not just, oh, we're sharing, I'm sharing. No, it's like, man, I want you around. And you talk about things. And guess what else? You learn about those things that we talk about often. You learn about their values, what they care about, right? You learn about their standards, and you understand their boundaries. And guess what? They want to know yours as well. Yeah. Comes down to knowing what you want. Knowing what you don't want matters too. If this situationship, you were cool in the beginning with just having fun, but it don't work. Fun is not enough anymore. And so you're like, I don't want to just have fun. I want more than that. And knowing that can help you navigate away from what you don't want by knowing what you don't want, right? Yeah, that was kind of pretty straightforward. I said this earlier, and I think it's so important. It is so very important. In a situationship, You are absolutely allowed to change your mind. Yeah, like I said in the previous point, if just having fun is no longer what you want to do and you desire more than that, then yeah, come do that. I'm coming back to the table. This is not enough. And I don't want to do this. Conversely, right? If you start with someone and it's just fun and you realize that, man, I don't want to just kick it with her anymore. Or I don't want to just kick it with him anymore. I desire something more. Have that conversation. I call it coming back to the table to revisit the original rules of engagement. Some things have changed. And each of us have the right to change our mind and bring that change to the table for discussion. Now, here's why this is important. It's important for a couple of reasons. The first is because you want to know where that person is and you want to share where you are. And better you know where they are or where they aren't sooner versus later, versus assuming or hoping that they're going to be in the same place and space as you emotionally. Okay. Another reason why this is important is because you may say, I want to get off this ride. Yeah. The last one. Come back to the table to discuss if this is not, because it was kind of short term. And it could be just, hey, we had fun. It was cool. And it's not a slight to the person, but you recognize that this is not a way of life for you. So there are multiple reasons that you can come back to have a conversation because, again, you changed your mind. When I met you, it was breezy, it was fun, it was cool, it was the summertime, it was balmy, we were having a cool time. I met you social distancing, wink, wink, yeah, okay. But I'm just saying, you have, it doesn't matter the reasons that your mind was changed. What matters is that it did and that you spoke about it and you shared that with the person that you were kicking it with. Okay? Does that make sense? Can a situationship turn into a relationship? Well, yeah. Or no. It's up to the people. I think that situationships could potentially evolve into a real regular relationship where their feelings being shared. You're learning about the person. They're learning about you willingly. They're inclusive. They want you in their lives. They're including you in their things. If they have things they want to do, places they want to go, hey, you want to go, and they're asking you to do the same, those same types of things. And you can feel it that they want to be there. Now, this was something that I thought was interesting. When you go back to revisit the rules of engagement, or when you're interested in having, you're open to the situationship evolving to a regular relationship, a healthy relationship, that you may want to say that, or you may want to ask, you want to make your request known, right? But if that person isn't there, just give them some time. Try not to have the expectation that they're supposed to say, yeah, right away, just because you were excited about the possibility. They may be in a similar space. They may not be in the same space as you. And it's just because they're not in the same space at the time that you bring it to them, doesn't mean that they won't get there. Doesn't mean that that's not what they may want, but just give them some time to think about it. In fact, lead with that. Hey, can I talk to you? And then, hey, listen, I recognize, I want to share something with you, and I want to ask you something. And it's okay if you don't have an answer right now, if you want to take some time to think about it, because I know that this is different than what we've been doing. It's different than perhaps I presented or demonstrated or even shared or said what I wanted. So I understand that you may have been operating in a certain lane and space for some time because of that not being clear, right? And so now I'm sharing this with you and I'm saying it more clearly, and I want you to know. And I understand if it takes you some time, or you want to take some time, to consider what I'm asking you and what I'm sharing with you and asking you to consider, and if this is something you're open to doing. Because again, we get conditioned to move in a certain space, not necessarily it's because of what we want. We just, it's not bad, it's not horrible, it's not ideal, but hey, there's no need to stop it. this is not a logical thing. It's emotional. That's what I want you to understand. Situationships, again, they can become emotional connection. You can become emotionally connected to people. And walking away is more than a notion. So again, just exercising patience in that. Now, the other side of that is you could bring that request and the person knows already that, no, I'm good. They don't want to do it anymore. Is that going to sting? Is it going to hurt your feelings? Likely, because there is some emotional tie there and feeling for the person. I mean, obviously you think something of them, but you also want to kind of prepare yourself as best you can for the answer not being what you were hoping for. Okay? That's awesome, Lisa. 30 years? Congratulations, young lady. Sounds like a marriage to me, or not, but it's certainly a committed relationship. That is wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. So we'll wrap this up, and I got to think we're going to take this to VIP. This is a conversation for VIP. My goodness. So how do you end a situationship if that's your goal? Okay? Honesty. That's how. That's how. It was a situation that got very cool. Very cool, Lisa. And yes, that's beautiful. 30 years, awesome. But that's the cool thing about situationships. They're not bad. They can turn out to be beautiful like Lisa. 30 years, that's what's up. I love it. I love it. I love it. Gwen says, situationships aren't supposed to be heavy. I guess they can get there, but if the relationship intent was there for that person, why be in a situationship in the first place? Well, I hear you, Gwen. I hear you. And the thing about it not being an intent, I think it could have snuck up on the person, right? They may have just started out saying, hey, this is cool, this is fun. But then when they got to know you, realized that there was something more than just a physical attraction. There's some substantive value here as well. And I like that, and I dig that. Remember, these things are not, I don't think situationships, I don't think anybody who gets in a situationship plan to catch feelings. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. What do you think about that? Ladies, tell me what you think. When you began your situationship, if you've ever participated in one, did you go into it thinking, oh, you probably, I was thinking this is just fun. But then you learn some things along the way. It's like, God, I kind of like the person. So it changes. So the intent may be one, and I agree with you, Gwen. They're not intended to be heavy. They're not supposed to be. But when emotions come into play, it's a little, it's not so simple anymore. At least it's been my experience. But I'd love to hear what you all think. And while you're typing, I'll get to. Kathy says if they're being honest with themselves, yeah. No, that's what I thought it was fun. You see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's fun. Yeah, because it's cool. You're like, man, this is the business. They're not asking anything of me. I'm not asking them of anything. And we just hanging out. Oh, it's a win. But then when emotions kick in and somebody catching feelings, now I want to have a different conversation because I don't know that I like not knowing what you're doing. I'm not talking about checking your schedule. What I'm talking about is if I'm digging you, I want to understand if I'm on this island by myself or you on this island with me. And whatever the answer is, the answer is. I just want to know versus assuming only to be disappointed later because I was not courageous enough to ask a question. Now that's just me. But I hope that you are courageous enough to ask questions for you, to get the answer, regardless of what it is, and be willing to accept that answer. Yeah. So, how do you end it? We talked about it, honesty, right? Have a conversation. If you're not serious or want to be, if you're not serious about, anything more than just a situationship and having fun, if that's all you're interested in, then say that. And just find out, and listen, it's okay to check in. It really is. See, because here's why. Now, what I'm going to say, I recognize already that this next statement is from a thoughtful person. Someone who is thoughtful is going to do this step. And that is this. If we're just kicking it, And it's fun for you and fun for me. I'm not asking anything more of you. You're not asking anything more of me. Listen to me. It is okay to care about the person that you're just kicking it with who you're not asking anything of. But it's also okay to ask them, hey, you good with how we doing this? Not because you're trying to take it somewhere else. Just to make sure they're cool. Here's why. Because that person may not be courageous enough to have the conversation. Yeah. And if you care about them a little bit, and it doesn't mean because you asked a question, you want to do something different than you're doing. You just want to check in and find out if they still good with what you signed up for, what you both said you signed up for. And it's a quick conversation. Hey, you good? I'm good. Cool. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've been wanting to talk to you. Okay. Don't get mad if they say, oh, I'm glad you mentioned it because I've been wanting to talk to you about it. Because that's what you need to know. If you care about the person, just have the freaking conversation. The answer is the answer. They may have changed their mind. And it's okay if they did. And just because they changed theirs does not mean that you had to change yours. It simply means that you care about them and you chose to ask a question. That's all. That's all. So listen, I'm excited. I'm excited. This was really, really cool. I hate that we lost that first feed. And again, I promise you, if it's still out there on my page, I will make sure that they both get posted. This one and that one. I hate it. But what I have learned, and Gwen, thank you again for the suggestion, this will absolutely be a topic for VIP. Oh, yeah. So if you want to be in that discussion, I suggest you go to bit.ly, Sip and Chill VIP, and reserve your spot so you can be in the room. So when we have this conversation and many more, you can be in it, not just watching outside. Hey, listen, have a fantastic weekend. I'm sorry if it's a long weekend for you too. Please be safe, enjoy it, stay safe, social distance, all the things that we should be doing, should have been doing. Please continue to do those things. I'm so excited that you guys came to hang out with me tonight. This was a great topic and it was a great time. So listen, if you have questions about VIP, again, that same link, bit.ly, Sip and Chill VIP. If you want to schedule time with questions, definitely do that. And we can talk more about it. You can learn more about the benefits of VIP. So listen, again, have a great weekend. Love you guys to life. I'm Coach Reg, and I love. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.